All right, man, here we are. Guess what, dude? It's April Fool's Day.
It is. This is all a joke.
This is just a joke. Don't ever think anything other than that. Just another wonderful day. Springtime is here. Getting ready to get into full riding season, motorcycle-wise, and
right.
I'm super excited for it. Super ready to go for it.
It's been a long winter.
It has been a long winter, but you know, during the winter time, I was able to keep my beard nice, fresh, and healthy looking. You know how I use badass beard care.
That's right.
That's what I use. That's right. The shampoos, the conditioners, the body wash. They've got deodorants. Mm-hmm. They have the beard oils, the beard bombs. They have all that stuff.
They've got it all.
They got everything, man. Badass beard care. It's veteran owned. It's made right here in the USA,
right.
Or close to the USA, California.
Well,
but other than being in California, they are close to the United States of America. Very happy to have Badass Beard Care on board with this. Love to be able to support the military people, and I know there's a way people can save a little bit of money by using a certain code. How do they do that, Wes?
Yes. In the description for this podcast, just go down there. You'll see Badass Beard Care. There's going to be a link. Click that link, takes you right to their website. And then after you've put everything in your cart, go to checkout. Put in Steel Horse as the discount code. It saves you 10% off your purchase. Gives us a kickback. And everybody wins.
Right on. Sounds good to me. So hey, make sure you check them out, man. Badass Beard Care. If you wear a beard, or if you just have long hair, or if you just like to be clean and look pretty.
Right.
BadassBeardCare.com. All right, Wes, today we are lighting up some cigars. We haven't done this in a while.
It's been a while. I haven't even smoked that many cigars for quite a while now.
Yeah, me either. It was all the way this morning before I did.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going to start off. I'm smoking a different cigar than I normally smoke. Well, I say that. It's generally when we're doing a cigar review.
Yeah.
I will pick out, not necessarily obscure cigars, but just more of my upper end cigars. The cigars that, you know, it's like, oh man, I really want this.
Right.
This right here is one of these everyday cigars. And this is Punch Knuckle Buster. This is the Maduro.
Okay.
So the Knuckle Buster Maduro, it's got a, the wrapper is a broadleaf, you know, Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. It's got an Indonesian binder and it's Nicaraguan fillers on it. So you get a little bit of that spice and stuff on it. But it does have a very, it has more of that bittersweet chocolate, that dark chocolate kind of, a little bit of a note like that. But it's extremely smooth. You get just enough pepper. Especially on the retrohale, you'll get just enough of that pepper where it gets a little bit of spice to it, and it's kind of nice, and I kind of like that. Yeah. But it's not overwhelming by any means. It's a Maduro cigar, but it literally lands in the medium category. It's not even medium plus. It is flat medium. Huh. Not super strong by any means, but it's got really good flavors to it. The best thing about this cigar right here is it's still one of those cigars you can get for under $10.
Oh, nice.
That's hard to do anymore.
Yeah.
You know, all the cigars I used to smoke that were under $10, those are all now $12 to $15.
Right.
This one here, you can still pick one of these up. If you go into a brick and mortar, probably $7, maybe $8.
Dang.
So $7 to $8.
Wonder how they're keeping their prices down.
And this Toro, you know, it's a 6-inch by, I think it's a 50 ring gauge, 52 inch, 52 ring gauge. They burn good. And we'll see how this one burns, but I just don't have a whole lot of issues with it. Punch has been around forever.
Yeah.
But they purposely wanted to make a cigar that people can afford, but still get quality. So it's all long fillers and everything else. It's not like it's a Cuban sandwich or anything.
Right.
But this is one of those cigars I kind of forgot about. And then I had one in my humidor, been in there for a long time, probably a year and a half. And I was going through some of my cigars. I like to rotate them, some that I have in the big basket. And I was like, dang, I forgot all about that. and I smoked it, and it was like, oh dear Lord, I forgot just how good these cigars are.
Huh.
So I've been, and then one of the local brick and mortars here, they have them, and I know I pay $7 something. It could be $7.99, it could be $7.50,
right?
Something,
but it's still under $10.
And it's, I'll be honest, I do like them when they sit longer. To me, a Maduro, I just like Maduro cigars when they've aged a little bit longer. It kind of, it smooths them out just a little bit more. It's no different than your whiskeys and stuff like that. And it just, a little bit of age on them really goes a long ways. But this one here is fresh. I mean, I probably haven't had this one here longer than a couple weeks at the most.
Okay.
And they are just a fantastic cigar.
Nice.
You can't beat them for the money. There's a lot of $12, $15 cigars that don't smoke as good as these right here. So, if you're looking for something that you can afford and smoke every day, the Punch Knuckle Buster Maduro cigar, I highly recommend it. And don't let the Maduro scare you because it's just medium at best.
Right. Nice.
And I'm pairing it with the root beer.
Yeah.
This is, it's got enough flavor, even though it's not strong. It's got enough flavor to where the root beer doesn't just override it. Sometimes you smoke a mellower cigar and you drink something as heavy as root beer, it has a tendency to kind of overpower the cigar, whereas it doesn't. It mixes well with the almost like a molasses kind of flavoring that you get out of this, along with the root beer. To me, it pairs up pretty good.
Nice.
So what you got going on?
I actually have a special one. I was on vacation a few weeks ago. Went down to Charleston, South Carolina for a couple days, then over to Savannah and Tybee Island for the rest of the week. And while we were in Charleston, we were going through, they call it like a city market. And they just happened to have a cigar place in there. I was like, well, I don't need to stop. And we kept on walking, and I kept looking at it. And eventually we turned around, went back through. I'm like, I gotta look and see what they got.
Gotta look.
Right. And so the place is called Cigar Row Events. I know they do, you can get on their website, and they do like parties where they'll have a roller come out and explain how they roll everything, show you the process. Like, you order this, what you're wanting, and then they roll it there in front of you, and then you get to take it with you. So that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah.
But they have Maduro, they have, your standard cigars, and they're all premium cigars from Nicaragua. But what they specialize in is my kind of cigars, the infused cigars.
Oh my!
One of them hippie new age things.
Jesus just wept.
So I actually have caramel moonshine. And it's infused from the caramel moonshine from Firefly Distillery in South Carolina.
Okay.
So they have like 4 or 5 that are specifically local distilleries, breweries, where they use their products to infuse them with. Then they have Buffalo Trace, Four Roses, all the bigger names and stuff. But I really wanted to make sure I got one of the local ones. Because I thought, that's going to be a specific flavor compared to just your normal whiskeys and stuff like that. So I do know their stuff is all Nicaraguan Puro with the Connecticut wrapper, Connecticut shade wrapper. And, like, there's no sweet cap on it or anything, so you don't have to worry about that part. Because a lot of the ones I smoke, they got a sweet cap, and it's like, whoa. It's like...
Right.
Almost
overwhelming.
Eating a piece of candy at first. So it doesn't have that, but it's got a really strong caramel note in there.
Gotcha.
Not sure what the ring gauge is. It looks about the same as yours.
Yeah, it looks like a 50 or 52.
Right. And the lady probably told me all this while I was there, but it's been a few weeks now, so I don't remember. But yeah, cigarrowevents.com, and you can go through and their inventory on there and purchase stuff.
So
yeah,
super cool.
And it looks like it's burning pretty good. It's been in the humidor since I got it.
So I already had to touch mine up. And you probably can't tell on camera, but it's funny how your smoke is much cleaner than my smoke.
Yeah.
My smoke. You know how you have the white LED lights, and some are almost blue. They're so bright, and then other ones they're like a dingy yellow.
Yeah.
That's the difference between our two cigars. Mine is the dingy yellow. Yours is the brilliant.
So I wonder what that means.
I don't know. But I can just tell when we both blew a smoke out, I was like, mine kind of has that dingy color to it, whereas yours has that really bright. I don't know. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, my wife, she got, they have one that's 99 berries. And I forget what it's infused, like what they use to infuse it. But basically, her favorite cigar is the Tatiana Groovy Blue. As the lady there's like, well, this is going to be very similar to that. So I can't wait to smell that one.
You home, smell you later. A little fresh spreads.
I want to say I paid $12 for the single. Now I know online you have to buy everything in like either 5 or 6 packs. They unfortunately don't sell them singles online. But
I get it.
I think it was $54 for a 6-pack. So I mean, to me that didn't seem like it was too bad.
No, and you figure they got postage and all that stuff that they gotta pay. So I get that, not selling singles, but
and they're not a big, as far as I know, they're not a huge company either. So
no, and it's super cool because you don't see a whole lot of smaller, I guess what you call boutique, more of a boutique brand. You're not going to find that in every brick and mortar that you go into. So no, it's cool. I love when you go on a vacation like that and you go somewhere new and to me there's no question about it. I see a cigar shop, I'm going in and I'm probably going to ask him, what do you got local that's big around here for local people or whatever.
It was hard for me just because it was raining so much. I'm like, man, this is going to be in a plastic bag outside. Like,
yeah. I like it. I love going into new cigar stores and shops and stuff like that. And then I'm never afraid to ask if I'm somewhere new. Do you have a local thing? What's your house blend? Do you have a house brand? And, I always try to get one of their house brand blends. That's one thing I learned. Most cigar shops, they're very, very friendly. They want to talk to you. They want to tell you about their stuff. And just don't be shy. Go in there and just say, hey, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And generally, I haven't been in one yet where they brushed me off or whatever.
Right.
But this is good. This is just, again, this is one of those cigars that I was smoking, kind of got away from it, forgot how good it is.
Yeah.
Now I can tell you right now, every time I go in that brick and mortar, I'm buying 2 to 3 of these every time and just setting them in the humidor.
Right.
So I know right now I went from smoking that one that sat in there forever, not having any, to now I've probably got another 8 of these in the humidor. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, and they're good.
Yeah.
I don't smoke the same cigar over and over. I like trying different ones, but you get those ones that are just certain.
Right.
I've said it. Well, I don't have it here now, but normally I have the Magic Toast box sitting here. The Alec Bradley Magic Toast is probably that one and the Brasilia from CAO.
CAO, yeah.
Those are probably my 2 favorite cigars. And again, they're both, the Alec Bradley is probably a $12 to $15 cigar.
Yeah.
The Brasilia is a little cheaper. Again, I think they all taste better when you let them sit for a while in the humidor, let them age a little bit longer. But those are probably my absolute 2 favorites. And then I've had those Mark Twains I've been smoking forever.
Oh, yeah.
Those have always been my everyday cigar. If I'm on a lawnmower, cutting grass, raking
you don't want to use an expensive cigar on that.
I am smoking one of those Mark Twains almost every time.
Yeah.
This will now go right along with it. Now there'll be times where instead of a Mark Twain, I'll be grabbing one of these Knuckle Busters while I'm out there cutting grass.
Mm-hmm.
Super good.
I don't know if I've ever had a punch cigar.
Been around forever.
They have been around
one
forever.
of the oldest cigar companies out there. They've got a lot of good cigars. I always forget that Knuckle Buster is one of theirs.
Yeah.
Because I do smoke a lot of the punch, the classics, and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I always forget that Knuckle Buster is actually theirs. They wanted to make a brand that, because a regular punch cigar is going to cost you quite a bit more money. So, to me, time and place. This is perfect. Cutting grass, or just even a day like today, just a normal day. Just, hey, I'm ready for a cigar. This is a good choice. You know, then you have certain evenings, whether it's a Friday night or a Saturday night, and you kind of got some time. It's like, you know what? A lot of times I turn to my father.
Mm-hmm.
The My Father brand, there's just not one I don't like. You know what I mean? And they're good quality and all that. And it's like, all right, yeah, I want a My Father. You know, that's gonna be more of a weekend kind of cigar, kind of a more of a I got or I'm getting together with some people. You know, I go to those, and then you want a celebratory cigar and stuff like that. I've got that Ashton ESG that I have. I'm getting ready to celebrate 40 years of marriage.
Right.
I mean, not in a row into the same person, but still 40 years of marriage. And, I picked up that ESG, and which is an estate sun-grown cigar, but it's an expensive cigar.
Yeah.
And again, it's expensive to me.
Yeah.
I know other people, that's their everyday smoke.
Right.
For me, I start spending over $30 for a cigar. To me, that's an expensive cigar. That is a cigar. I'm not smoking that every day.
Right.
I'm not lighting up a $35 cigar to go out and cut my grass, or to even sit here and do a podcast.
Yeah.
If I'm lighting that up, that's going to be my 40th anniversary cigar that I'm going to smoke. Haven't had that. I smoke the Ashton aged Maduro. I smoke those cigars all the time. Have never had the ESG. I know a lot of people talk great about the VSG. The ESG is just the next step up from that. So they're good cigars.
Yeah.
And again, anytime you start getting cigars that are related to Fuente or related to Davidoff, you know it's going to be exceptionally good quality.
Right.
And that's what Ashton is. I mean, Ashton is just, again, they have some, the aged Maduros that I smoke, those are going to be about $10, $12. The ESG, $35.
Right.
And I think I paid a little higher than what, because I've seen other places where they have them down around $30, $32.
Yeah.
It was $35 where I bought mine.
That's a pretty fancy store that you bought it from too, though. So.
And they're hard to find.
Yeah.
The VSG you can find pretty much everywhere. The ESG, they're kind of like the Opus X from Fuente. They're just hard to find. They're not gonna have them every time you go in the brick and mortar. They're not gonna have them in stock.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. Like I said, time and place for everything.
And I was really thinking about saving this one for a different time, but it just sounded really good today.
You know, it's funny because there's times I generally smoke the Maduros. But I also like a good Sumatra wrapper. I like a good Habano wrapper. I like the Corojos. The Rocky Patel Corojo cigar, man, I think it's fantastic. And on occasion, there's just times I want a mellow, mild cigar. And that to me is when I go to the Connecticut.
Yeah.
You find a good Connecticut shade wrapper, and the really good ones, they still have a lot of flavor to them.
Yes.
You still get the flavor, even though it's a mild cigar. And there's times, I mean, I know a lot of people are like, my first cigar in the morning with my coffee, I like a nice mild shade Connecticut. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Yet. But
you gotta start drinking coffee first.
Yeah, I do have to drink coffee, but I'm just not an early morning cigar smoker. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. By noon, sure, I could fire one up. I got no problem firing one up at noontime or whatever.
Yeah.
I've always said my sweet spot for a cigar 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
That time there, that's when the cigars just taste better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's something about that time of day where I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for a cigar.
Right. Maybe that's when your sinuses and nasal cavity and all that's like at its best for the day, maybe.
Perhaps, or maybe that's just I'm somewhat not. I don't get up as early as you, but I am more of an early riser.
Right.
And I think by then I'm kind of ready to, spent 25 years at a sawmill. In the last few years, we clocked out at 3:45.
Yeah.
So by 4 o'clock we were clocked out. So maybe that's what I relate to.
Probably. That internal clock saying, "Hey, day's over with. Time to relax and kick back." I do have to say, I am impressed with the way this thing's burning. For a complete unknown place, I mean, all their rollers were trained by people down in Esteli. Is that how you say it? Esteli.
Nicaragua.
Yeah, they were trained down there and then came back to the States, and they roll all the cigars there in South Carolina.
Did you hear AJ Fernandez's factory down there just burn up?
No. I mean, the whole state's pretty much on fire.
Nicaragua?
Oh, no. South Carolina.
Oh, no, Nicaragua.
Oh.
His big factory, the big factory. And I mean, it's a huge factory down there. Because down there, it's not like... I was just watching Cigars Daily on their live. They talked about it last night. And, they were explaining, here in America, it's not only are you going to go to school, you have to, by law, you have to go to school. Whereas down there, it's not that way at all.
Yeah.
It's a privilege. If you can go to school, and that's one of the things AJ does down there at his factory, is he literally has a school in the factory, so that way employees that work there, their kids can come
that's cool.
and go to school while their parents are at work.
That's cool.
all part of his program. So yeah, when his factory burned down, it was, obviously they lost a bunch of product,
right?
But nobody got hurt.
Well,
they were able to get everybody out. Again, it's a cigar factory. It's
right.
Your entire building is designed to
burn
leaves.
It's designed to burn.
So, and it happens all the time. It's not that uncommon. It's happened to all the best of them, and
Well, even like was that one of the whiskey buildings down in Kentucky? Didn't it burn, or did the barn just collapse?
I don't know.
It may have just collapsed because it was one of the Jack Daniels or Jim Beam or something. They lost like 3 years worth of product.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, prices are going to go up after that. I mean, again, you figure all their cigars, they sit for 3 years.
Right.
Those leaves sit for 3 years. So you lose them all. Now, they were able to save some of the stuff and everything else. But still, AJ makes cigars for everybody.
Yeah.
If there's a big brand out there, he's making a blend.
Right.
H. Upman, he does a whole series for H. Upman cigars. He does, he's got his own AJ series, but then he's making them for everybody.
Right.
It's just nuts.
I wonder if any of them will move to America, bring some factories back here.
I don't know. I know, I think it's my father has theirs. Theirs is in Nicaragua, but they also have a factory, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think they have one in Miami.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. But one of them, I know there's one of them, they actually have their place in Nicaragua, and then they also have a place in Miami, Florida. But yeah, talking about, cutting grass and all that stuff, that's all right around the corner now.
Oh, yeah.
Here in the Midwest, it's April 1st, we're moving into springtime. Have you noticed more motorcycles out on the road lately?
Oh, yeah. I mean, not the other day when we had 70-mile-an-hour winds, but
Unfortunately, that's what happens here in the Midwest. Springtime rolls around, you finally get warm enough weather to get out on the bike, but you know you're going to be dealing with 20, 30
Right.
mile-an-hour winds pretty much every day.
every day.
Every day you're going to have 20 to 30 mile-an-hour winds.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. Sometimes that deters me. There's
Yeah.
times it's so windy out. It's like, it'd be nice to get out on the bike, but I don't want to fight that wind like that.
Yep.
But there are a lot of bikes getting out there now, and starting to see a lot more of them. And that's why I thought maybe today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the misconceptions people have,
Okay.
whether it's on bikers or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
First of all, all bikers aren't outlaws.
Right.
There's some people, and I think everybody pretty much understands that now. They're called one percenters for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They make up 1% of the motorcycle community. I got friends that are one percenters. Got no problem with them. But literally, their life is motorcycles.
Right.
And if you're in a 1% club, it could be an outlaw club.
Yeah.
But to me, that means 99% are just people that work regular jobs during the day, and
Mm-hmm.
they ride when they can ride. They do charity rides. They do, you know what I mean? They like to get with their buddies and go for a ride like wild hogs.
Yep.
So, I think most of America understands there's a difference between everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think we do have some, I don't know if it's misconceptions, but there's just different things that go on. Here's one for me. I like I have friends that are in all different walks of life.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I am a ordained Christian minister, and I didn't get ordained online just so I could do weddings and funerals.
Right.
I practiced, I have taken classes, I have
Mm-hmm.
studied, I've done all this stuff for over 30 years. It is my life, and yet I can hang with people that are atheists,
Mm-hmm.
agnostic, and then whether they're in a whole nother faith, whether they're Buddhist or whether they're
Right.
Muslim, or it doesn't matter. I have friends of all kinds,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's important because you kind of learn what other people like. For me, it's not I don't care what you believe.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, why do you believe it?
Right.
What makes you believe the beliefs you have?
Mm-hmm.
Because we can all have difference of opinions.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately, that's where we're in a day and age now where that's all anybody wants to do. I'm sharing with you my opinion. And I just remember I used to speak at colleges back in the day. And there was a group of us that would go, and a lot of it was on the human sexuality classes.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and kind of represented the Christian side of things.
Okay.
But a bunch of us would get in the car and we'd all ride together, going to different, colleges here in the Midwest. And we'd get talking about current topics and everything. Well, I always had a much different view.
Right.
But that was the thing. Whenever we would get talking, I usually just keep my mouth shut because I know I'm going to be in a disagreement.
Yeah.
We're all, and again, these are all friends of mine and everything else. And then they'll generally, all right, Scott, what do you think? I said, well, if you want, I'll tell you I'll give you my opinion. I said, and I'll give you the reason why
Yeah.
I believe this. And to me, that's the biggest thing. Nobody ever says why they believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's what they said on Fox. Oh, well, that's what they said on CNN. Well, that's what Joe Rogan said on his podcast. Well, there was a guy on whoever, Bill Burr's
Right.
podcast that said this, or I knew this was going to be going on. So.
Yeah.
But I see stuff all the time on Facebook, and I've posted stuff and everything else, and then, a picture of a big line of motorcycles, and then there's like, if you see this, keep in mind these bikers are out spending their own money, raising money
Right.
for a cause or for an individual, so be patient and everything else. And I've shared those on the Steel Horse page and everything else. And I think it's important for people to understand, why are you doing, why are you stopping traffic?
Right.
Why am I sitting here now for 20 extra minutes waiting on you guys to go by?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and so I do like those comments where it's like, this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
To explain why we're doing it. Now, just because I've explained it doesn't mean it's going to change somebody else's opinion on it.
Right.
But at least they understand why we're doing it. Yeah, how many times you've been driving down in the car or driving your truck and somebody's pissed at you for doing something and you're like, I haven't done anything wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Why are you mad at me?
Yeah.
You know, I had a person that did a illegal U-turn as I'm crossing over a 4-lane divided highway where speed limit is a very generous 60 miles an hour.
Right.
And this person that was coming out the side street decided they didn't want to go anymore, and they turned around, making a U-turn as I'm coming across. Now I'm stuck in oncoming traffic lane because this guy decided to do it, and I'm like, I hit the horn like, dude, you got to go.
Right.
They started to make the U-turn, and their front wheel was going to go off the road just a little bit, so they stopped. They backed up some more and everything else. And I hit the horn like, dude, you can't. You got me out here. I'm getting ready to be T-boned.
Yeah.
And they flipped me off. Those are the things I want to catch the person and say, I just want to know why.
Right.
Listen, I know you're an idiot and you're an a-hole. You've already proven that. Now, tell me why. Give me one reason why. And not why you did what you did, but why were you mad at me?
Right.
You're the one in the wrong. Why are you flipping me off? What did I do? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I think it's important to find out why. And so these people that get upset with motorcyclists, and I've watched the motorcyclists get pissed off, and they're flipping people off, and they're pointing their finger at them, telling them, you got to wait there, you got to wait there. Sometimes we have to look at it from their point of view.
Right.
I get it. We're raising money for little Timmy, who was born with a birth defect or whatever, and they need extra money, and we're raising money, and we're going to get Timmy the help that he needs so he can live a healthy life and everything else. I get it. I understand that completely. But sometimes we make our cause more important than everybody else's.
Right.
And the fact is, it's not more important.
Right. It's important, but everybody has something important going on.
I look at it like, sometimes I want to get a picture of a soccer mom in their minivan with their kids in the back and all the gear and all that stuff, and take a picture of that and put that up there.
Right.
If you're upset about me with all these kids in my van, keep in mind, we don't have money to send our children to college, but little Lucy is really good at soccer, and the only way she's going to get to go to college is if she can get a scholarship. Therefore, me sitting here for an extra 30 minutes while you're doing your ride is keeping me from getting her to the soccer game that she's supposed to be at. And if she can't play, she's not going to be able to get better, and she's not going to be able to get her scholarship. She may be a senior in high school. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is important, and now mom's stuck behind, 200 motorcycles that are making her wait, and we're just, you got to sit there and wait. And she's like, hey, I got to be somewhere too. You know what I mean? I think sometimes we forget.
Yeah, because it's not like, if the city's got a parade going or something like that, well in advance what roads are closed. Right. So you know to make a change to, where you need to go. Any weekend, if there's a big ride, and, whether you ask the police to get involved or the police just see how big it is so they get involved to make sure things are done safely, or you have people that are blocking the road, like, you didn't know that was going to be going on. Most people aren't hanging around all the same Facebook pages as motorcyclists. So, yeah, you got to look at it both ways.
Yeah, the same way we have no idea what this girl's schedule is for her soccer game. They don't know what our schedule is for the motorcyclists. And so for me, I do get irritated sometimes when I watch some of the bikers get violently mad at somebody because they're trying to and all they're doing is like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Why do I have to abide by the rules
Right.
and you don't? Why do you get to do whatever you want? And so I see both sides of it, and I think that's what's important. And I wish more people could do that this day and age, is understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Again, it may not change my viewpoint, but if we can understand
Right.
why somebody else, all right, well, I got upset. Do you remember we did the trip out to Washington, D.C.?
I was getting ready to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it they always told us about that? About riding in it? Because we had, going out there, I think there was 67 motorcycles.
Yeah, 67 and a minivan. Yeah, you get on the highway, and generally, the way they had it, you had captains for, each segment or whatever. That way, if you got on the highway, things could split up to give cars space, because a car's going to get on the highway at some point.
They have to come over.
They're going to have to come over, and instead of getting mad at them for coming over, just give them space. They don't want to be there as much as you don't want them to be there.
That's the phrase right there.
Yes.
That's the phrase that has stuck with me ever since we did that ride.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. They don't want to be there, so just let them come in, figure out what they need to do, and they'll get out of the way with no problem.
Give them some space. And that's because even with us, they would separate us like, I think, 8 to 10 bikes. And then we have a gap.
Yeah.
And you have the next 10 bikes, and there's a gap for that very reason. So people can get on the highway. Because let's face it, when we're all going out there was times, most of the time we stayed on like U.S. highways.
Yeah.
But there was a time there we had to get on the interstate. And that's what they were saying. We're going to be separated by 10, 8 or 10 bikes, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And each little group, they had a captain up front. They had a trailer in the back. And so you always had people that were part of the putting the ride on, taking care of each group.
Yeah.
And so we could separate and allow vehicles to come on and out. But the comment he always made, those people don't want to be in the middle of you guys as much as you don't want them to be there. That's the last thing they want. And I think sometimes we have to remember that.
Yeah.
People don't want to. Listen, have I encountered a-holes that just don't give a crap about you on a motorcycle
Right.
and just run you off the road? Yes, I have encountered that multiple times. But I know most of the time, people just don't realize.
Right.
Sometimes they don't even realize, oh, this is a big group. Because what else happens when you have a long line of motorcycles? And it doesn't have to be 200 bikes. You could have a line of 50. A line of 30 bikes. 30 bikes takes up a lot of space. And what happens? You have that one person that will not stay. You can preach it until you're blue in the face. You stay tight, tight formation. You keep 2 seconds between you and the motorcycle in front of you, which means when you're riding staggered, that guy that's over onto your right or over to your left is going to be 1 second.
Right.
And you stay 2 seconds behind the person directly in front of you, 1 second behind the person that's staggered on in front of you. But you'll get those people that just aren't comfortable doing that.
Right.
And therefore they lay way back.
Yeah.
And now you have this big ass gap in the middle of your ride. Well, somebody pulls up to a stop sign, there's this big gap. They're going to pull out and go. A lot of times it's our fault, the motorcyclist's fault, for doing what they're doing. And again, it's not even a matter of, oh, those crotch rockets, I hate them because they're always going 90 miles an hour and they're always doing wheelies in the middle of the road, la 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 la. I get it. That's craziness, and it's as crazy as people pulling out in front of Harley riders. They're like, no, these guys are going to go 20 miles an hour under the speed limit. I don't have enough time to sit behind. And I'm guilty of that myself, going, oh shit, here comes a bunch of Harleys. These guys are going to be going so freaking slow. But sometimes we just have to stop and put ourselves in the other people's shoes and say, okay, maybe they had a good reason why they were irritated about us.
Yeah.
And again, what does give us the right to just take over a roadway It's different when you have the police escorting you and all that.
Yeah.
But when you're just doing it on your own, like, yeah, what the hell? Let's just stop in traffic, and I don't want to stop for stop signs. I don't want to have to wait for a red light. Yeah, just block the intersection. Let's go. You got to have permission to do that kind of stuff.
That is technically against the law.
It is.
I know a lot of rides do it, and generally the police are pretty lenient about it, but it is technically against the law. And if somebody gets mad because of it, they do technically have the right to go around you.
Yeah, and I have friends that have gotten tickets for doing it. It's illegal. You're not allowed to, but
yeah. I know everybody wants to keep everybody together and all that, and I understand that, but that's why if you're in charge of the ride, you always have a meeting before the ride takes off. Everybody knows what route you're taking. That way, if you get broken up, everybody knows where they need to make turns at.
Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing, the other important thing too. You're doing a big ride. Well, if you've got a club putting this ride together, and they've got, say, 15 members that are going to be in this ride, a lot of them are going to be up front because they're going to be the blockers.
Right.
And then, but to me, it's important to have them kind of scattered. Have a few scattered out throughout the line, and then have some more at the back or whatever. Mm-hmm. But for that very reason. So if you do get split up, you got somebody in that mix that says, no, I know the exact route. I know exactly where we're going to be at. But for me, just to keep your patience and everything else, to me, it's just understand where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. For an example, as a Christian minister, I know what I believe, and I can tell you why I believe it, and I can pull it up in the Bible and show you why I believe what I believe.
Right.
But even as a Christian, there are so many different denominations.
Yes.
I was brought up Catholic, Christian beliefs, and then I went to some Baptist churches. My conversion came at an Assemblies of God, which is kind of Pentecostal. I always call it a watered down Pentecostal.
Right. Right.
A little toned down Pentecostal, but I've been to many plain out Pentecostal churches, been to Lutheran churches, been to a bunch of different kinds of churches. And but to go even from that, to talk to friends that are Buddhist, or talk to somebody who is agnostic, or somebody who is a Unitarian, or whatever it is. Cindy is part Cherokee.
Right.
You are part Cherokee.
Right.
So I've learned a lot of that. I'm big into the Native Americans here. Obviously, I do read a lot about the Cherokee only because of the bloodline. But I look at all the different ones, and to me, I can pick up things from all of them. And say, well, I can show you scripture in the Bible where it's like, this is why they believe what they believe. This is because there's certain things where somebody's like, oh, so you're New Age now, huh? You believe in that New Age stuff? I'm like, I'm not calling myself New Age. I'm saying this is true.
Right.
What they practice here, that's 100% true. That's a fact. There's no arguing about it. It is a fact. People have, they believe in the power of your mind. You got to speak positive and la la la. And it's like, all right, well, there's physical evidence that shows how our bodies react if we are a positive thinker or if we're a negative thinker.
Yep.
Hell, the placebo effect.
Yeah.
It's so effective. When they do the blind tests now, they have to do what they call the double placebo. It's so effective. Our minds work so well. You can drink a non-alcoholic beer and not know it.
Yeah.
And 6 beers in, have a heck of a buzz.
Right.
You can smoke weed that doesn't have any THC in it, and it's just CBD. And if you don't know it, we used to do it with oregano and everything else. We roll a bunch of oregano, give it to somebody, and watch them just get stoned as could be. Because their mind says you're getting stoned. Cindy has these cigarettes that smell like weed. It's just, that's all it is weed, but it has no THC or anything in it.
Right.
just sitting around her while she's smoking it. I'm thinking, damn, I'm getting a contact high off of this stuff, man. That's how our minds work. So when people say, oh, you're one of those positive thinkers, it's like, well, yeah, I try to be.
You should be thinking positive.
But it's like, that's, the placebo effect, the double, they have to do a double now. Mm-hmm. So now the doctor that gives you the pills, he doesn't even know whether it's the real pill or not.
Yeah, because your mind can pick up whether, you can tell it when he hands it to you whether he thinks it's...
Yes.
So then your mind doesn't go with it.
And so how crazy is that? And then you have people that say they don't believe in it. It's
right.
Like, your mind can pick up from their mind because they know what's right and wrong, and your mind's able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And yet you see people get healed all the time taking nothing but sugar pills. There's hospitals over in Asia.
Yep.
They use zero medicine, and people get healed all the time over there. And it's all because of whether you believe it or not is up to you.
Right.
The facts are all there.
The mind is stronger. I mean, they don't even understand the majority percentage of our minds.
Right.
So who knows what our mind is capable of doing.
So even though I might have Christian faith, I can agree with a lot of the other stuff. Just because somebody is a different faith doesn't mean I automatically disagree with everything they're saying. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's how we are nowadays.
Oh yeah. If you don't believe the same as me, then you're wrong.
It's just bizarre how it's gotten that way. But I do think that if we just take time to look and see what other people are doing, especially when you know why they're doing it,
right?
Or look at it from my life. I spend my whole life doing nothing but trying to put myself in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
It just makes you. It just helps you understand what's going on. Listen, bottom line is, some people are just a-holes. That's all there is to it.
Right. They were just
born that way. They were born that way. They're just an a-hole, and the only way they're happy is if they're making you miserable.
Yes.
And listen, I'm a practical joker.
Yeah.
I'm a very sarcastic type of person.
I never noticed.
No. There's certain things I'm going to do only because I know this is really going to piss them off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We all have that in us.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. I saved it. But I just think with the motorcyclists, we just need to... it's just like saying all the crotch rocket guys are a pain in the ass because they're too dangerous. They're not all. No. Not all of them are. Now, are a lot of them?
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was why they bought that kind of bike.
They're younger. Generally, it's younger people. I did a lot of crazy stuff when I was younger. It's like, yeah, you're going to have it, but that's one of the misconceptions that charity rides is just for cruisers. Right. Well, if you got a crotch rocket, you can't do a charity ride. I don't understand that. Of course you can. It's a motorcycle.
You got two wheels and an engine. That's the point of the ride.
It's a motorcycle. And I know some people that ride crotch rockets, and they do charity rides, and they're like, yeah, I can play around all I want on my way out to the ride. I'll do the ride and help out the cause, and then after I'm done, me and my buddies, we're all going to take off, and we're all going to go just tear up the road somewhere. I mean...
I think it's really cool when you get to a ride and there's... you got all the baggers, you got the crotch rockets, you got... some spiders in there. Right. When you have a whole mix of it, and it's like, that's what it's supposed to be. Everybody's able to come together, get along, have fun, and help people out.
Can't we all just get along?
Like, why does it have to be all baggers? Why does it have to be all crotch rockets?
Or all Harleys? Or
it's
got to be Indians.
Yeah.
Now again, if you're part of Hog, if you're part of Indian, if you're part of Kawasaki group or a Triumph group or whatever, there's a time and place for all that stuff. I was a member of Hog forever once I got my first Harley, and I was a member of that. And we did things, and it was Harley rallies. It was all just Harleys, right? But that was a whole separate thing. Yeah. charity rides, it's like, it doesn't matter. You know, and I remember back in the day, the 1%ers, they were all, it had to be a Harley.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't, you know, that's what you did for the bonfire. You found somebody, you stole a Honda from somebody and you threw it on the bonfire.
But that's why the whole, you know, the slogan of the show is it's not what you ride, it's that you ride.
Right? It's not up there.
It's not up there.
Yeah, I was getting ready to point at it and realized we had the nice picture up there instead.
Got some nice stickers that'll be coming out that say that on there.
Oh, yes, we will. So it's just, to me, that's the whole thing. When we're riding the motorcycles, keep in mind other people are doing stuff too.
Right.
They didn't put their Saturday aside for us to do what we're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same way as I'm not going to hold off because you guys are all going to soccer games.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do my thing. You do your thing. But we got to be able to get along with everybody.
Right.
And
there's enough crap going on in the world to get upset and angry over something stupid.
right?
Right.
So yeah, I just felt like, you know, here we are in the springtime. It's just one of those things we have to kind of remind ourselves.
Yeah.
That, you know, hey, it's springtime. Motorcycles going to be out.
Don't blow your grass on the road.
They're hard to see. Yeah. If you're cutting grass, blow that grass in your own yard. Don't blow it out on the road, unless you're going to get out there and clean that road off right away. That's your fault. If there's an accident, you will be held liable.
Right. Generally, it only takes 2 swipes. Blow it into the yard for 2 swipes, and then you can go the other way the rest of the time. You're never going to blow anything on the road.
That's right.
Or it's going to be minimal to where it's not going to affect anything.
Yep. Yeah, I usually do 3.
Yeah.
Out by the road. When I'm by the roadways, I always do 3 rows. The first 3 rows, I'm blowing all the grass back into the yard.
Yeah.
Then after that 3rd one, I know on number 4, I can turn it the other way and blow it, and it's never going to hit the road. I just don't have an issue.
Right.
Now I do have an AT&T box out by the cafe.
Yeah.
And so going around it, at some point in time, it is going to blow some on there. And what happens is, right after I get that done, I pull back out on the road on the
blow it back into the
lawnmower,
yard.
and I blow it back in the yard on the lawnmower.
Yeah.
That's not to say there isn't a time where a vehicle goes by before I can get out there and do it. But it's not. It's that one little area. So it's not like when people go down their whole yard and just blow it all out into the road, and you have the entire that side of the road is completely covered. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of little things like that we have to remember now. You know, dogs. When you let your dog run loose, does he chase the motorcycles? Well, if that dog runs out into the road and hits that motorcycle and they go down, that homeowner is getting sued. And they will be paying for everything because it's their responsibility to keep that dog on a leash.
Dog.
And so yeah. So it's just that time of year we have to kind of get back into the thing. Same as motorcyclists. I know so many people that bike's been sitting there for 4 months, 5 months.
Right.
Here in the Midwest, a lot of people, those bikes go in the garage in November and they don't come out until April.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in there for 6 months.
Probably didn't put it on a tender. Probably didn't treat the gas for winter.
Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then they get that nice day in March or April and it's like, woohoo, I'm taking a ride. And they hop on the bike and they take off and ride. And it's like, okay, that bike's been sitting for quite a while. Did you check your air pressure?
Right.
Did you look at your tires just to make sure? If you're parking on in a concrete garage, now I have a carpet.
Yeah.
I've always had a nice big throw rug, and our motorcycles are always parked on carpet because it helps protect the rubber tires. But before I just jump on there and hop out there, I'm checking my oil. I am, you know what I mean? I'm definitely checking my air pressure.
Yes.
You know, making sure your battery, I keep ours are always plugged in over the winter time. And I don't technically winterize my bike because I do get out periodically throughout the winter. And so I'm constantly putting fresh gas back in it. But you definitely got to check that. I can promise you, if your bike's sat for 3 months,
Yeah, the air pressure.
4 months, whatever. Your air pressure's way down on those tires. And then, that's just certain things. You've got to do that before you take off on your bike. The bad thing is, you don't check your tires before you take off. And then next thing you know, you have a blowout. Mm-hmm. You have a blowout in the car. You just simply make your way over to the emergency lane, and you pull over there, and everything's fine. Blowout on a bike. First of all, if it's a front tire, you're in big trouble. Yeah. Even a back tire, if it's a blowout, it's going to get squirrely right away. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're riding down the road and you get squirrely, and I'll say you lose it, you go down, well, there's any other cars out there. We never think about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's one thing when some yahoo pulls out in front of you. You know what I mean? And they do something bad like that, but we all hate those people. But what about the guy in the car that just ran you over?
Right.
And even though it had nothing to do with them, guess what they're having to deal with for the rest of their life?
Yeah.
It's, again, put yourself in everybody else's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get out there and ride wheelies down the interstate highway and everything else, and everybody's like, yeah, go ahead and kill yourself. Well, the problem is he probably won't kill himself.
Yeah.
He's probably going to wipe out on the road, and then another person in a car or a truck or whatever is going to end up actually putting him out.
Right.
And that person now got to deal with that. So, again, I always like to look at it from both ways. People wear the shirts all the time, the big bright yellow ones or the big bright orange ones, and it says, "Can you see me now, a-hole?"
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it, because people do pull out in front of you all the time on a motorcycle, or they just hog your lane or whatever because they know they win.
Right.
If they hit us, they win. And I do realize there are some people that are like that, but I can't begin to tell you how many times I started to pull out in front of a motorcycle because I just didn't see them.
Yeah.
I'm a motorcyclist. Mm-hmm. I spend more time on my motorcycle than I do in a vehicle.
Right.
And yet, there's still been multiple times I've almost... Fortunately, I do that. Look twice. I do that. And had I not, I would have pulled right out in front of them.
Right.
It's just one of those things. There's too many blind spots in vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
And if you just... And a motorcycle is small. And I don't care. I got a Road King. Mm-hmm. It's 3 foot wide. I've got a big headlight and then 2 big spotlights on each side of it.
Yeah.
And there's times people don't see me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a big advocate of loud motorcycles. I like loud pipes for that very reason. You're not going to see me. I already assume. And that's the other trick, as we're getting back into riding season. Always assume
nobody's seeing you.
When you come up to an intersection, whatever, always assume nobody sees you.
Yeah.
You got to go into every intersection, every traffic situation, assume they cannot see you.
Right.
And then after that, you'll find yourself being a lot more cautious and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're going to have Professor Anderson on here. Hopefully within the next week or two, we'll get him out here, and he is a safety guru, and I want him to be able to share with everybody, the different things. So I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it today because I want him to be able to share it from a professional. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's just a matter of get your mind right. Let's look at it from somebody else's perspective and understand. And even if we don't agree with everything they have to say, we might be able to agree with something. There might be something you're going to find and go, all right, yeah, I see your point with that.
Yeah.
Disagree with this over here and this over here, but I do understand what you're saying there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that'll go a long, long way in resolving issues.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Wes, how's your South Carolina cigar going?
It is. Apparently, I'm going to be spending $54. Yes, this is... And it doesn't have a very strong flavor. So, a lot of people, they don't like infused cigars because it's just...
Sometimes it's overpowering.
It's overpowering. And there are a few cigars I've had that are that way. This one is just... It's almost like you don't even taste the caramel on the draw. you taste it on the exhale.
Okay, so it's more of the finish.
Yeah. So like when you're drawing it, just tastes like a normal, Connecticut smooth cigar, and then when you exhale, it's like, oh, that's pretty nice. So yeah, you get the caramel on the back end. It's really cool, and it's burned really well. I haven't touched it up one time. I mean, it's had a couple little runs, but it's fixed itself every time.
Yeah, yours is definitely burned better than mine. If we were having a burning contest,
Yeah.
yours is definitely one. Mine has gone out a couple different times. I mean, it's burning okay. Again, mine's got little peaks and valleys here and there, but again, for a $7 cigar,
Right.
if I'm smoking a $7 cigar and I got to take my lighter and just kind of touch it up here and there,
Yeah.
I got no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, mine, it didn't go out, but it was like, I knew if I kept trying to get it to light, it was going to mess up that taste.
It's just going to get hot.
So I was like, okay, just let's take the cherry off and just restart.
I do that a lot too. I don't like it. Once that cigar gets that dirty taste to it, it's hard to get rid of it. It's hard to get rid of that dirty taste, and then I end up just putting the cigar down.
Right.
Whereas something like that, I'm the same way. Rather than puffing on it, 5-6 times and hitting it a bunch right one after the other to get it to light back up good.
Yeah.
Because by then it's going to be so hot.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the flavor it changes the flavor.
Yeah,
So
it does.
there's times when they get low. Sometimes when I get small down to that last inch and a half or so, and it starts getting warm on your fingers. You know what I mean? And I'll be puffing on it.
Burning your fingers.
And finally, I'll set it on the edge of the ashtray and just let it sit there for a minute.
Yeah.
And then it cools right back down again. Then I can pick it back up. So every time when it looks like I'm done with the cigar, I generally pick it back up, puff on it a few more times. It'll get hot again. I'll set it back down. And then I'll be like, all right. I'll pick it back up. Okay. And I'll hit it a couple more times. And that's generally how I finish out a cigar.
Most of the time, I only smoke a little, probably right to about that third quarter,
Yeah.
and that's usually where I end up, putting it down. But again, I smoke infused cigars for 90% of the time. By the time you get down there, everything's kind of mixed so much that it just doesn't have the right flavor anymore.
Gotcha.
When it's infused and you're expecting a specific flavor.
Well, I got some acid cigars. And I haven't smoked them yet.
Yeah.
But I know, because I don't smoke a whole lot of infused cigars.
No.
Theirs are infused. But I know the brand that we got, I think it's the Blonde.
Okay.
That a friend brought me.
Uh-huh.
And me and him are going to smoke them together one of these days here. But like that one, it's infused, but it's infused with like other herb tobacco.
Yes.
Is in with it. A lot of people see the name or the term infused, and we're thinking, oh, okay, so they got a ton of chemicals,
Right.
crap inside there or whatever. And a lot of times that's not the case.
No. If you're getting gas station cigars, yes, more than likely it is.
Yeah.
If you're getting a premium infused cigar, no, it's for the most part it is all natural ways of infusing it.
Yeah, and that's why they have so much issues right now. Certain states you're not allowed to buy them, like California.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Almost the United States. But they they can't. It's a shame because California is a pretty beautiful state.
Depending on the things that go on,
Depending on
with
where
as
you're
many
at.
people that have left that state, it may not be the same way come the next election.
I just mean
I don't want to get
right.
I don't want to get too touchy on it, but it definitely.
California itself is a beautiful state.
Oh yeah,
Northern California up there with the redwoods and all that, the big trees and the mountains and stuff is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
San Francisco's a cool town. Even in the center part of the state, you still got your mountain, the rolling hills and all that stuff. You know, I've never been in Southern California, but
Yeah.
I've seen enough about San Diego and LA. It's beautiful. There's some really
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
areas out there, and yet I have no desire whatsoever to ever go there anymore. I
Yeah.
just, you know, been there many times, and the stupidity of their politicians.
Right.
Now again, you know, they'll sit there, oh, we had an increase of 3 or 4%. We're showing 4% of an increase of people moving into the state of California. That's like, yeah, but you also had a decrease of 12%.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so your increase of 4% is all that is. It's a decrease
Yeah.
because you lost 12% of your people. I don't know, but that scares me too because all these people are leaving California, and then like idiots, they try to elect in the same people the same kind of
Yes.
people they had in California that ruined that state.
Yep.
And they still try to bring those same kind of people, and then you got places like Texas and everything else to start. All of a sudden, they start falling apart because they're bringing in all these. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. That's why we don't talk politics on this show or religion.
Well, for two today.
Right? But
I do think when it comes to church, though, that if more people throughout the different denominations could understand, like what you were talking about, looking at it from both perspectives. You know, I went to a Baptist school growing up. And, you know, most of the people in there, they didn't care if you were non-denominational or if you were Pentecostal. Or, there are some that are very strict. It's you have to be Baptist, and it's like we all believe the same core belief. Yes,
Right.
there are some outlying differences, but we all believe the same thing. We should all be working together for the whole, you know, the whole Christian faith. Like that part never. I can never understand why they're so divided between the denominations when it's you literally believe the same thing.
right? That's why, as an evangelist, when I used to travel around, you know, to me it was always like I always preached a very basic message. And the reason I did that was because I wanted you go to your church for your fine tuning.
Right.
Okay, you don't, you know, this Baptist church is not going to have the exact same doctrine as this Pentecostal church over here or this Lutheran church over here.
Right.
They're going to have very different style services in all these places. But that's because we're all individuals.
Right.
And to me, that's how I look at it. It's like, you know, this church here, the Catholic Church, didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I wanted something less structured.
Right.
I wanted something that was a little bit more free going. And again, not that I had anything against the Catholic Church. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Then I started going to other churches that were more contemporary, and they had, in my opinion, better music. You know,
Yeah.
more my style of praise and worship music. The preachers kind of preached more on a different level, and it was just that's what worked for me.
Yeah.
I have a sister that, again, we all grew up Catholic, then we all kind of went our own separate way. She's back to being Catholic and has been for a long time.
Huh.
And it works perfect for her.
Yeah.
It works really good for her. It didn't for me, but like the Assemblies of God, I was with them forever. Disagreed with multiple things
Yeah.
that they taught. That la, and I was like, yeah, I disagree with that, but I liked everything else. So.
Right.
It's diets.
Yeah.
Diets are the same way. Think about that.
Yeah.
I did the carnivore diet in January. I did it all of January, most of February. I'm still doing a lot of it.
Yeah.
Multiple days during the week. I am strictly carnivore diet. I've just cheated a little bit more here and there. And it's worked fantastic for me. And I know other people that have done the carnivore diet that's worked great for them. I have a brother. He's vegan.
Yeah.
He turned to all plant-based, it's worked great for him.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of health issues in the past, and battled cancer 3 different times, and beat it every time. And he has gone vegan, and it has worked great. He's lost weight. He's in good health now. He's older than me, but it works fantastic for him.
Right.
He'll tell you, God, you can't do a carnivore diet. That'll kill you. I'll turn around and say, God, you can't do a vegan diet. That stuff will kill you.
Right.
There are certain animal proteins you've got to have in your body. Our bodies are designed to have them. He'll turn around and they'll tell you the same thing. You can't eat all that that damn animal fat, that animal.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they both work.
Yeah.
His diet's working great for him. My diet's working great for me. I know other people that are on the Atkins diet that works great for them. People are on Weight Watchers, it works great for them.
Everybody's different.
We're all different human beings, and we got to find the one that works for us. I was riding with a friend of mine. His little kid was in the back seat, and there was a couple bikes pulled out. We were looking at them, and they both had ape hangers on them. And the little boy goes, "Oh, those are stupid motorcycles." I said, "You don't like those? You don't like?" Because they were a couple Harleys. I said, "Oh, you don't like Harleys?" He goes, "Oh no, I love Harleys," because his dad rode one too. He goes, "But no, Dad hates those handlebars. He says they look so stupid." And I started laughing because my bike has ape hangers on it. Again, mine aren't extreme, but they're 16s,
right,
or 18s. I can't remember. But I just remember him saying that, and he goes, "Why, do you like those?" I said, "Have you ever seen my motorcycle?" I said, "Yeah, I've got them on my bike." "Well, Dad says they're stupid." And of course, Dad's sitting over there cracking up, laughing. He goes, "I just said I don't like them. That doesn't mean they, And I say that all the time about the motorcycles. Look, whether you like a crotch rocket, whether you like a Sportster, a Cruiser, if you want to, get on a big touring bike, a big Goldwing. That's why there's a bazillion different kinds of motorcycles, because we all like different stuff. I like them all. I like adventure bikes. My next motorcycle, if I was to go out and buy a new motorcycle, I'd probably be buying a new adventure bike. Yeah. I'd probably buy a Triumph. That's just me. Or the KTM. The KTM is really nice. I do like the KTM adventure bike. I've rode the Harleys. I rode Harley's adventure bike. I've rode a bunch of them, and they're all good. And but that's kind of more of what as I'm getting older. Yeah. I enjoy doing some of that stuff. Hell, it's Supercross season right now. I've been watching Supercross, for the last umpteen weeks now, and I'm like, God, I want to get a dirt bike. I want a dirt bike so stinking bad. It's like, little Cindy, small she is, I get her a little 125, I'll get just a 250. Yeah. It's more than enough for me to go out and do what I want to do. I'm not going to go do Supercross. I want to just go do trail riding.
Right. Oh, the hills around here would be perfect.
So to me, it's just that's the whole thing. It's you ride what you like to ride, and then you set your bike up the way you want to set it up. Yeah, I'm already talking about taking the ape hangers off my bike.
Oh yeah,
I'm talking about going beach bars. I'd almost like to go with some nice Longhorns or something like that on there instead of the ape hangers, and just to change it up.
Yeah, more classic look.
My bike is the Road King Classic, and it comes with the leather bags and the spoked wheels, wide white walls. Right. It looks like an old school motorcycle. I've had it for 25 years now.
It's technically a classic now.
And so after a while, I did get tired of it. I was like, I want to change some things up. And then next thing you know, I took those white walls off and went black walls on it. Went and put the, I blacked out pretty much everything. I put on the ape hanger bars on it and changed the look of it completely.
Oh, yeah.
And was ready to take the spots off. I wanted to take my spotlights off. I wanted to move my turn signals down to there. And it was just like, I'm ready to do that. And then I never did get as far. My laziness kicked in, and I never went any farther with it. But now I'm right back to where it's like, you know what? I think the next set of tires, I'm going to go back to white walls. Yeah. I think I'll take the ape hangers off and put some nice Longhorns or some beach bars on there. Make it look, because I don't use the windshield that often.
Right.
We do rides like the Distinguished Gentleman's
Yes.
ride.
Yeah.
It would look great like that.
It would look great like that.
It would look absolutely fantastic that way for that particular ride. But just because I like it that way doesn't mean somebody else will.
Right.
So it's just kind of one of those things. We got to learn to see everything from other people's perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
May not change our mind about anything. You know, there's things in my religious beliefs that have changed.
Yeah.
Over the, since 1987.
Mm-hmm.
Been a while.
Right.
And there are some things that were extremely absolute 35 years ago that now I'm like, does it really matter?
Right.
Is that any big of a deal? Not necessarily that I've changed my mind on it.
Right.
But it doesn't bother me if you don't agree.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. This is one of those areas. It doesn't matter. Yes or no. It doesn't change anything. Like you were saying, why can't the denominations just get along? Even though we disagree on certain things, what difference does it make?
Mm-hmm. Time, age, and experience.
And that's big to me, the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your adventure taking you? You know what I mean?
Right.
What do you believe? Do you believe it simply because you read it? Do you believe it simply because that's what a preacher told you? Or do you believe it because in your own personal experience,
right,
it took place?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I say it all the time. You can tell me all you want about what you know because of what you've read and what you've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to teach out of my experience.
Yeah.
This is what works for me. There are certain people that believe if you don't speak out loud, it's not a prayer. Unless you pray out loud and speak the words, then you haven't, if you didn't say it, you didn't pray it. That's one of their things. More power to you. If you want to believe that, I don't have an issue with that. Same way as you shouldn't have an issue with me if I say, dude, before I open my mouth, God already knows my heart.
Right.
And so I know if I'm speaking for your benefit. I'm not speaking for God.
Mm-hmm.
If I have to tell God what I need, I'm serving the wrong God.
Right.
So, to me, it's just little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that used to be a big deal to me, whereas now it's like, gotta speak forth, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an issue with it. Got plenty of scriptures that'll back it up. Speak to the mountain, and it shall be moved. You know, but again, I also have enough understanding now through my experiences. There's been times I said the positive thing and the negative thing happened, and there's times I said the negative thing and the positive thing happened.
Right.
I've done it both ways. It's just because I said my foot ain't broken.
Yeah.
Didn't mean my foot wasn't broken.
Right.
I said it for an entire day. Oh, my foot's fine. I'm healed. Nope, it's fine. It's not broke. It's not broke. Next morning, when I felt it on my face getting out of bed, I went to the hospital. It broke.
Yeah.
I've had other times where I've gone, oh my God, I think I just broke my hand. I think I broke it. I better go to the doctor. I think I broke it. It turned out to be fine. So, I don't know. To me, experience means everything.
Yeah.
And that's why the Bible even says, don't let your young people be preachers.
Yeah.
And I believe that's why. You ain't lived long enough to understand that it's not everything is completely 100% black and white. You know what I mean? It's so that's me. I like to live. I like to guide my life through my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, as a Christian, I like to line it all up with the Bible.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not going to go out there and well, it says thou shalt not murder, but God, I feel so much better after I killed that SOB. You know what I mean? It's you got to keep it in mind.
Yeah.
Keep it in reason. Well, this cigar has been really good.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed it.
It's burned really slow.
It's burning slow.
But you also do more talking than me. So.
I have to keep relighting it too. So.
Yeah.
Again, it's a $7 cigar.
But we're also talking, so if we weren't discussing and stuff like that, it probably wouldn't have went out.
What else you got?
I don't know.
Hey, tell me a little bit something about this new Steel Horse Thunder Posse page. I've heard something about that on Facebook. Tell me a little bit about that.
So if you go to the Steel Horse Thunder Facebook page. As soon as you go to the page, you used to say like and follow at the top. Now it'll say like and subscribe, and subscribe is in bold blue print. Like you can't miss it. As soon as you search Steel Horse Thunder or click on page, whatever, you're gonna see that blue subscribe button. When you subscribe, it is $4.99. We couldn't do $5. It's just the way Facebook rolls. But when you subscribe, yes, you're helping support Steel Horse Thunder, but you get access to the Steel Horse Thunder Posse page. You become a Posse member. You get to, advertise your rides, events, stuff like that on there. If you have a ride and you do some filming or whatever from a cell phone and stuff, you can upload that to that page. So you're not just seeing what we're posting. You get to interact with each other. You get to, help spread the word about your rides and events. And then because of that, you're going to be able to see so much more other events going on. Other people that are posting on there.
And you say $4.99 to subscribe. That's a monthly subscription.
Monthly subscription. If you have an Apple iPhone, it'll go through Apple Pay. If you have an Android, the better option, in my opinion. If you have an Android, it's going to direct you through PayPal. And I'm pretty sure on the computer, it's just either PayPal or debit, credit, just a normal thing. Cell phones are the only ones that are different because Apple and Android have communication through Facebook, so they get to decide how payment is made. $4.99 a month. You're going to have a party in the off season. Just whether it's just for subscribers or the subscribers get to go to it for free, since they already pay $4.99 a month. Mm-hmm. We still need to iron out some of those details, but there will be a party for everybody that subscribes.
I say the party is just for subscribers.
Just subscribers?
I think so.
And we're in the works of getting some stickers, patches, little things we can give away to people for being a subscriber.
Well, because we do the Facebook Live every Monday night. Monday night, 7 p.m., every Monday night, even in the winter.
Yeah.
And on the Facebook Live that we do, once a month, the first Monday of every month, we're going to be at the Groggy Goat Tap Room, which is in Martinsville, Indiana. We'll be there live. And that's where I want to have stickers, patches, that kind of stuff. That way somebody comes up and they can show us on their phone that they are a subscriber. I noticed this past Monday night when we were on there, when people were, because the live, we interact with everybody. You know, people chime in with questions or a lot of funny jokes last night. Very funny jokes. A lot about my hat. A lot about my cane. Some pretty funny stuff last night. But you can see on there, I see the star on certain people, and I realized those were subscribers. Yeah. So I could tell if they chimed in, they were a subscriber and stuff. It was really cool. Yeah. And so that's why I want to have stuff like that when we're out filming at some of these charity rides or whatever. I don't want to get to the point where we're having to mail stuff like that. You know, obviously it costs a fortune to mail everything. Yeah. But to have certain events where we're at, where it's like, hey, we're going to be here at this event, come on out. You know, maybe Jonesboro River Rally. Hey, we're going to be set up at the Jonesboro River Rally on Saturday of whatever. Come on out. We're going to have all the freebie. And you show me, hey, come this. We're going to have a patch for you for your vest if you want it. You know, some stickers or whatever. I know we talked about challenge coins. Yes. I got to look into that to see what
I found a place where we can make some.
Okay.
They're not cheap.
No, they're not. And that's why we'll have to see what we can do with that. And again, it's one of those things I want to encourage you to encourage as many as you can to join. Yes. Because obviously the more people that join, it helps us out financially. Right. To keep doing what we do as we've gotten older and we've gotten more responsibilities, taking care of parents, we had to cut back on our regular jobs that we normally do for our own living. Well, we still used some of that money to take care of what we do for the Steel Horse Show. So this will help us offset some of that. And then obviously the more people that join the page, obviously the more money that comes in for us to help us. But it also, the more people that are on that page, obviously the more stuff you share, more people see what you're sharing. And so that's why I think it's just, as opposed to just a Patreon page.
Right.
We did that for a while. To me, this just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because now you're getting something that you can use yourself and help promote all your own stuff, but you are still getting a chance to help out the show. And a lot of people want to help the show. They like the show. They want it to keep going.
Yeah.
So I know during this writing season stuff, we're just going to have to announce certain places we're going to be at.
Yes.
So people can come out, and then we'll have all that stuff available to give away.
I know something that I thought would be cool. And my mind just went blank on his name. Podcast I listen to, that they do have a Patreon page, but they know who's going to be on the podcast, in advance. So they'll go and put a post out for the Patreon members. Hey, so-and-so is going to be on the podcast. I want to have, X amount of questions from you guys, and that way we can ask on your behalf to that guest the question that you would like to ask them.
Fantastic idea.
And so I thought that'd be kind of cool if we get things lined up. We can put a post on the posse page, and then people can comment what they would like to ask that person.
That's a fantastic idea. Never thought about that.
So I thought that'd be kind of cool when we have special guests.
Right? Yeah, and I want to get that back going again with the podcast where, even if we just keep doing 2 a month like we were doing, and one of them may be you and I talking and going over stuff, and then another one in that month where we have a special guest.
Yeah.
Again, it's Steel Horse Thunder and beyond, so I want it to be not just strictly motorcycles, although sometimes it will be.
Oh yeah.
But some of the ones we did last year, Anthony Rosano and the Conquerors, great musicians, and they all ride. So we got to talk all about music with them. With Rupert, from Survivor when he was on the podcast. He's a writer, and we talked a little bit about that, but we also talked about his organization, rupertskids.org, and different things like that. And that's why I want to bring, and it'd be great if we can get some questions out there from other people. Hey, we're going to be talking to Professor Anderson. Do you have any safety questions? Do you have any, I'd like to do that with mechanics and stuff. Bringing a good motorcycle mechanic that can answer questions to people, Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. Yeah, and other times we're going to get on here and we're just going to simply talk about cigars and conspiracy theories. We did one of those last year, that's for sure.
The one that nobody saw because I can't do nothing with it.
So, yeah, and I think that's the other thing, too, is I think, like, we can take bits of our podcast, take little excerpts out. I know there was one where Cindy was talking about dementia and stuff, for her mom. And we were able to take that portion out and just air that up on Facebook or whatever. Maybe that's something we can do as well for the Patreon or for the Posse page. Be able to take excerpts and just put it on there and just put it on that page, or put it on there, and wait an extra week or two before it ever goes on the other page and let them see it first. But I think it's a fantastic idea to do the page as opposed to just strictly Patreon. I just feel like for our industry, and again, not that Patreon's bad at all.
No.
I know a lot of people that do Patreon pages.
Yeah.
I just feel like with our niche,
yeah,
and with what we do, I feel like an extra the group page is actually works out better. I think I think you get more for your money that way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that'll take off. We just got it started. It's going to launch today.
Yes.
It actually went up.
I kind of forgot about that it was going to launch today.
Today was supposed to be the very first day we were going to have it. Instead, it actually went up a little early, and some people found out about it, and they already signed up, so we already have members on there.
Yep.
But today, April 1st, is actually the official launch of the Steel Horse Thunder Posse page. You become part of the posse, the Steel Horse Posse. You got anything else?
I don't think so. I'm very impressed with the Cigar Row.
And again,
cigars.
What is it?
Their website is cigarrowevents.com, and that'll all be in the description of the episode as well.
Okay.
But yeah, they locally, well, not here, but locally in South Carolina, they roll everything and do all their own infusions and everything. So
very good. Very good. All right. Well, Cameraman Wes, thank you so much for being on here and coming out. And I think we're going to call it a day.
All right, guys, check out Badass Beard Care. Make sure you're taking care of your beard or your armpits or whatever you need to take care of hygienically. They've got it, and it's American made, and it's helping support our veterans.
That's right. And a big shout out to Ladendorf, Giotto, and Bigler, personal injury lawyer here in Indianapolis. Been part of this show for 20 years now. So, hope you never need a personal injury lawyer, but if you do, Ladendorf, Giotto, and Bigler, you can always get to them right through steelhorsethunder.com. Click on their logo, and it'll take you right to their website. Crambo's, Chris Crampy is a world-renowned painter. They got Harley Mechanics. They got everything you need out there at Crambo's in Greencastle. And our brand new sponsor, the Groggy Goat Tap Room in Martinsville, Indiana. We will be doing our Monday night lives. The first Monday of every month will be done live there at the Groggy Goat Tap Room. Feel free to come out and join us out there. Come up and say hi to us. The Monday night lives have been a ton of fun, so looking forward to doing more of those this year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a great day, great evening. We're right in that point in time now. It's still afternoon, early evening. So have a good day, man. Make April a great month. We'll see you next time.